For 170 years, the Opium War and its afterlives have cast a shadow over Sino-Western relations, both sides tampering with the historical record for their own purposes. Influential 19th century Britons worked hard to fabricate a virtuous casus belli out of an elementary problem of trade deficit, to reinvent the war as a clash of civilizations triggered by the supposedly unnaturally isolationist Chinese. In turn, 20th century Chinese nation builders transformed it into the cause of all their country's troubles, into an imperialist scheme to enslave a united, heroically resisting China. The reality of the war itself, by contrast, illuminated deep fault lines in the messily multi-ethnic Qing Empire, as China's rulers struggled unsuccessfully to rally its officials, soldiers, and subjects against a foreign enemy. The West's public stance of self-justification over the war overlaid a moral guilt that has subsequently fanned further fears of, and tensions with, the Chinese state and people. Opium became a symbol both of Western malfeasance and of a sinister Chinese pollution, generating irrational clouds of yellow peril suspicion that arguably still haunt our media coverage. In China, meanwhile, opium, defeat, and imperialism have manufactured an unstable combination of self-loathing and pragmatic admiration for the West that continued to coexist uneasily in Chinese patriots. Whether Western nations such as Britain have attacked the Chinese for their arrogance in refusing to pay them enough attention or respect, lambasted themselves for what they did, or obsessed paranoically about Chinese retribution, one misconception has remained constant: that the West is central to China's calculations and actions. But both back in the 19th century and now, China's rulers have been primarily preoccupied with domestic affairs rather than foreign relations. This refusal to look at matters from the perspective of the Chinese state's own prerogatives helped drive Britain towards war in the 19th century and risks pushing relations towards confrontation in the early 21st. In 1839, the Qing court was too distracted by fears of social unrest to come up voluntarily with a pragmatic response to Western trade demands. Britain interpreted this political paralysis as inveterate xenophobia. In 2010, the situation did not look so very different, with the Chinese government infuriating Western states over its rejection of climate change legislation that might slow growth, its harsh stance on social control, and its aversion to compromise on international trade issues, such as strengthening the yuan relative to the dollar, thereby making exported Chinese manufactures more expensive, foreign imports less so. From the age of opium traders to the internet, then, China and the West have been infuriating and misunderstanding each other, despite ever-increasing opportunities for contact, study, and mutual sympathy. 10 years into the 21st century, the 19th is still with us.